The first contact disaster. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Martian research facility as Dr. Elena Rodriguez checked her instruments for the third time. The readings were impossible, yet they remained consistent. Something massive was approaching from beyond Pluto's orbit, something that defied every law of physics humanity understood. "Director Walsh, you need to see this," Elena called across the observation deck. Her voice carried a tremor she couldn't hide. 3 years of monitoring deep space had prepared her for many things, but not this. Director Marcus Walsh hurried over, his coffee still steaming in the thin Martian atmosphere's controlled environment. The veteran astronomer had seen solar flares, asteroid swarms, and even rogue planets, but the data on Elena's screen made his breath catch. 17 objects, each roughly the size of Earth's moon, were decelerating from near-light speed in a way that should have torn them apart. How long until they reached the inner system? Marcus asked, his mind already racing through protocols that had never been tested. "At current trajectory and speed, 4 days," Elena replied. "But Marcus, look at this energy signature. It's not natural. These aren't asteroids or comets. They're ships." The implications hit both scientists simultaneously. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their visitors possessed technology that made Earth's most advanced spacecraft look like wooden boats. Within hours, every major space agency on Earth and Mars was tracking the incoming fleet. President Catherine Mills stood in the Situation Room beneath the White House, surrounded by military advisors and scientists who looked as confused as she felt. "Options?" she asked simply. General Robert Stone, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, cleared his throat. "Madam President, our weapons are useless against technology this advanced. If they're hostile, our only hope is that they're not interested in total destruction." "What about communication attempts?" asked Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading xenolinguist and newly appointed director of First Contact Protocols. "We've been broadcasting on every frequency we can generate," replied Communications Director James Park. "Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, even music." No response. The alien fleet, later known as the Zephyrian Armada, entered Earth's solar system with the grace of cosmic dancers. Their ships were beautiful in an alien way, flowing curves of metal that seemed to bend light around them. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering that humanity could barely comprehend, powered by engines that warped space itself. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the EDS Endeavour, Earth's most advanced warship and humanity's flagship for this historic moment. She had volunteered to lead the first contact mission, despite knowing it might be humanity's last diplomatic effort. The weight of 7 billion lives pressed down on her shoulders as she watched the alien ships arrange themselves in perfect formation near Jupiter. "All ships maintain peaceful formation," she broadcast to the small Earth fleet. "Remember, we're here to talk, not fight." The first communication came not as words or images, but as a direct neural interface that somehow bypassed every communication device humanity possessed. The alien voice appeared directly in the minds of every human in the solar system, speaking in perfect English with an accent that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Primitive species of the third planet," the voice said with casual dismissal. "I am High Commander Zexthera of the Zephyrian Empire. Your system has been selected for resource extraction and colonization. You will evacuate your homeworld within 1 solar rotation or face extinction." The silence that followed was deafening. Admiral Chen felt her heart racing as she processed the ultimatum. No negotiation, no discussion of humanity's rights or achievements, just a simple demand for surrender. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet," she replied, broadcasting on all frequencies and hoping the aliens would receive it. "We are willing to discuss peaceful coexistence, but Earth is our home. We cannot simply abandon our world." The alien response came swift and terrible. A single beam of energy lanced out from the nearest Zephyrian ship, striking the research station on Europa. The facility, home to 300 scientists and their families, simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris field, just empty space where humanity's pride had stood moments before. "Your resistance is noted and dismissed," came the alien voice again. "Prepare for immediate evacuation, or join your colleagues in extinction." Admiral Chen felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. These beings had just murdered 300 innocent people as casually as stepping on insects. They clearly viewed humanity as nothing more than an inconvenience to be removed. "All Earth Defense Forces, this is Admiral Chen." She broadcast on emergency frequencies. "We are at war. Repeat, we are at war. All colonies are to implement emergency protocols immediately." What followed was unlike any conflict in human history. The Zephyrian ships were technological marvels, but their crews had grown complacent after centuries of easy conquests. They expected the primitive humans to flee in terror or die in futile gestures of defiance. They did not expect what humanity actually delivered. Captain Maria Santos commanded the mining vessel Iron Will in the asteroid belt when the war began. Her ship was not designed for combat, but it carried industrial-grade plasma cutters and enough raw materials to supply a small city. When 3 Zephyrian scouts approached her position, she did something the aliens never anticipated. "All hands, prepare for ramming speed," she announced calmly. "If we're going to die, we're taking them with us." The Iron Will accelerated toward the nearest alien ship, its hull glowing from the stress of maximum thrust. At the last moment, Maria triggered every mining charge aboard her vessel. The explosion that followed took out not just her ship, but 2 of the 3 alien scouts. The third retreated, broadcasting confused reports about human kamikaze tactics. Similar scenes played out across the solar system. Earth's military was outgunned and outmaneuvered, but they refused to surrender. Space miners turned their ships into guided missiles. Research stations used their fusion reactors as bombs. Even civilian transports loaded themselves with explosives and aimed for alien ships. The Zephyrians had superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice everything for victory. Their ships began to fall, one by one, to human desperation and ingenuity. What should have been a simple conquest became a grinding war of attrition. High Commander Zexthera watched his fleet's status reports with growing disbelief. These humans had destroyed 37 of his ships in just 2 days, using tactics that bordered on insanity. No civilized species would sacrifice so much for so little gain. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach," suggested Sub-Commander Velterra, his second in command. "These humans are more resourceful than anticipated." "They are animals," Zexthera replied coldly. "Dangerous animals that must be put down before they spread their madness to other systems." But even as he spoke, more reports arrived. Human ships had somehow managed to board and capture a Zephyrian frigate. The crew was missing, and the ship's technology was being reverse-engineered at an impossible rate. These primitives were learning from every encounter, adapting their tactics with each battle. Admiral Chen stood in the ruins of Mars Command, her uniform torn and her face streaked with dust from the latest alien bombardment. Around her, technicians worked frantically to restore communications with the scattered Earth Defense Forces. The war was going better than anyone had dared hope, but the cost was staggering. "Admiral, we've restored contact with the Luna Defense Grid," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson. "They're requesting permission to activate the Omega Protocol." Sarah's blood ran cold. The Omega Protocol was humanity's last resort, a plan so desperate that its very existence was classified beyond top secret. If they activated it, there would be no going back. "Patch me through to President Mills," she ordered. The holographic image of the president appeared, showing her in the deep bunkers beneath NORAD. Her face was grim but determined. "Sarah, tell me we have options," Catherine said without preamble. "Madam President, we can win this war, but the cost will be everything we've built in space. Every colony, every station, everything beyond Earth's atmosphere will be sacrificed." The president closed her eyes for a moment, and Sarah knew she was thinking about the millions of humans living throughout the solar system. When she opened them again, her expression was resolute. "Do it. Activate Omega Protocol. But first, I want you to send a message to these aliens. Let them know exactly what they've started." Admiral Chen walked to the communication station and began composing humanity's first and final warning to the galaxy. Her words would echo across the stars for generations to come. To the Zephyrian Empire and any other species listening to this transmission, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. You came to our system demanding surrender. You murdered our people without provocation. You believed us to be primitive and weak. She paused, looking out at the red Martian sky, where alien ships still burned in the atmosphere. You were wrong. We are not primitive. We are not weak. And we are definitely not helpless. This is humanity's first and final warning to the galaxy. Leave our system now and never return. Attack us again, and we will show you what happens when you threaten the survival of the human species. The transmission went out on every frequency, broadcasted by every remaining human facility in the solar system. It carried with it detailed recordings of every battle, every human victory against impossible odds, every act of sacrifice and defiance that had marked the war so far. "We did not start this war," Admiral Chen continued, "but we will finish it. This is our only warning. We will not give another." As her words traveled across space at the speed of light, the Omega Protocol began its terrible work. Across the solar system, every human facility began broadcasting a signal that would change everything. The war was about to enter its final phase, and the galaxy was about to learn why humanity had never been conquered by anything, not even themselves. The galaxy's response and final war. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened on the massive space station orbiting the neutron star Kepler 442. Representatives from 47 different species filled the circular chamber, their various forms creating a bizarre tapestry of galactic civilization. At the center, the holographic image of Admiral Chen's warning played for the third time. Council Speaker Thanemore, an ancient being whose crystalline form had witnessed the rise and fall of a dozen civilizations, called for order. His voice resonated through the chamber's translation matrix, reaching every delegate in their native language. "The human transmission has been authenticated," he announced solemnly. "These beings have indeed defeated a full Zephyrian battle fleet, using what can only be described as unprecedented tactics." Representative Kilonos of the Altarian Federation raised an appendage that resembled a metallic tentacle. "With respect, Speaker, the Zephyrians are known for their arrogance. Perhaps they underestimated these humans." "The battle records tell a different story," replied Dr. Zentera, the Council's chief military analyst. Her insectoid form clicked nervously as she accessed the data. "These humans displayed tactical innovation, technological adaptation, and a level of sacrifice that defies rational behavior. They turned mining ships into weapons, used their own infrastructure as ammunition, and somehow managed to capture and reverse engineer Zephyrian technology within hours." A murmur of unease rippled through the chamber. The Zephyrians had been one of the galaxy's premier military powers for over 2 millennia. Their technology was considered nearly inviolate. Representative Morgeth of the Krillian Empire stood, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. "These humans are clearly a threat to galactic stability." Their warning transmission was broadcast across 17 star systems. Other primitive species might get ideas about resisting established order. "What do you propose?" asked Speaker Thanemore. "A coordinated response," Morgeth replied. "Every major power contributes ships and technology. We assemble a force large enough to overwhelm these humans completely. Quick, decisive action before their influence spreads." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some species argued for peaceful contact, others for complete isolation of the human system. But Morgeth's faction gradually gained support as delegates considered the implications of humanity's defiance. Representative Velthera of the Cosmic Collective finally stood to speak. Her species was known for their prophetic abilities, and her words carried unusual weight in council deliberations. "I have seen the probability streams," she said, her ethereal voice barely audible above the chamber's ambient noise. "If we ignore these humans, their influence will indeed spread. But if we attack them—" She paused, her form shimmering with uncertainty. "The outcomes become unclear. There are paths leading to outcomes I cannot fully perceive." "Surely no single species can threaten the entire galaxy," scoffed Representative Kickstar of the Hegemony Alliance. "The Zephyrians thought the same thing," Velthera replied quietly. The final vote was close, but Morgoth's coalition prevailed. The Galactic Council would assemble the largest military force in recorded history to deal with the human threat. Each member species would contribute their most advanced warships and weapons. The humans would face the combined might of galactic civilization. On Earth, the captured Zephyrian technology had already revolutionized human science. Dr. Marcus Webb led the reverse engineering project from a facility hidden deep beneath the Australian outback. The alien ship they had captured was a treasure trove of advanced physics and engineering principles. "The energy matrix is incredible," Marcus explained to the assembled team of Earth's brightest scientists. "They're not just using fusion or antimatter. They're actually manipulating the fundamental forces of reality itself." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's specialist in exotic matter, looked up from her workstation. "Marcus, look at this. Their computing systems don't use binary logic. They're processing information using quantum superposition states. One of their processors has more calculating power than every computer on Earth combined." "Can we replicate it?" asked Dr. Ahmed Hassan, Earth's foremost expert in material science. "We're trying," Marcus replied. "But it's like trying to build a smartphone using Stone Age tools. We understand the principles, but our manufacturing capabilities are centuries behind theirs." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maria Santos, the mining captain who had survived the Iron Will's destruction, was recovering in a medical facility when she overheard the scientists discussing their problems. Her years of working with industrial equipment gave her a unique perspective on the challenge. "You're thinking too complicated," she told Dr. Webb during one of his visits. "You don't need to replicate their manufacturing. You need to jury-rig something that works with what we have." "I'm not sure I follow," Marcus replied. "Look, when my plasma cutter broke down in the middle of an asteroid field, I didn't wait for replacement parts from Earth. I used mining charges and a fusion torch to create something that did the same job. Different method, same result." Her words sparked a revolution in human engineering. Instead of trying to copy alien technology exactly, Earth's scientists began developing hybrid systems that achieved similar results using human manufacturing techniques. The process was crude, inefficient, and barely functional, but it worked. Admiral Chen walked through the expanded Luna defense grid, marveling at the changes 3 months of desperate innovation had wrought. Massive magnetic accelerators now stretched across the moon's surface, capable of launching projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Orbital factories worked around the clock to produce the new hybrid weapon systems. "Status report, Colonel Martinez," she asked the facility's commander. "Ma'am, we now have functional shields based on Zephyrian technology. They're power-hungry and unstable, but they'll stop directed energy weapons for short periods. Our new missile systems use captured alien navigation computers guided by human tactical eye." "And the big project?" Colonel Martinez's expression became grim. "Project Prometheus is 70% complete. If we activate it, every electronic system in the solar system will be affected. Our own ships will be flying blind." "But so will theirs," Admiral Chen replied. "How long until the Galactic Council fleet arrives?" "Deep space monitors detected the first scout ships yesterday. Best estimate puts the main fleet's arrival at 6 weeks." Admiral Chen nodded. 6 weeks to finish preparations for what would likely be humanity's final battle. Earth's population had been evacuated to underground shelters. Every resource was dedicated to the war effort. Humanity was about to face the combined military might of 47 alien species. The Galactic Coalition fleet was an impressive sight as it gathered at the edge of the Sol system. Over 3,000 ships representing dozens of different technologies and tactical philosophies formed into battle groups. Admiral Supreme Vortak of the Krillian Empire commanded the largest military force ever assembled. "All ships report ready for operation," announced his tactical coordinator. "Shall we begin the systematic destruction of human infrastructure?" "Negative," Vortak replied. "We offer them one final chance to surrender. These humans have shown remarkable resilience. It would be wasteful to destroy such potential entirely." The transmission went out across all frequencies, delivered in perfect English by the fleet's translation systems. "People of Earth, this is Admiral Supreme Vortak commanding the Galactic Coalition fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned by a force representing the combined military might of 47 advanced civilizations. Surrender now, and your species will be relocated to a suitable world where you can live in peace under galactic protection. Refuse, and face complete annihilation." The response came from Admiral Chen aboard the EDS Defiance, humanity's new flagship built using hybrid human-alien technology. "Admiral Supreme Vortak, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. We have considered your offer carefully." She paused, and when she continued, her voice carried the absolute certainty of someone who had already decided to die rather than surrender. "Our answer is no. This is our home. These are our worlds. We will not abandon them, and we will not submit to alien rule. You have been warned. Leave now, or face the consequences of your actions." Vortak was surprised by the firmness of the human response. His intelligence reports had suggested that humans were practical beings who would accept reasonable terms. Clearly, these reports had been inadequate. "Begin the attack," he ordered reluctantly. "Target their defensive installations first. Minimize civilian casualties where possible." The battle that followed would be remembered throughout galactic history as the War of Human Defiance. The Coalition fleet's initial assault was methodical and overwhelming, designed to crush human resistance through superior firepower and technology. What they encountered instead was unlike anything in their considerable military experience. Human ships didn't fight like civilized beings. They used asteroids as camouflage, hiding their energy signatures until enemy ships came within range. They employed nuclear mines disguised as debris, turning space itself into a trap. Most disturbing of all, they seemed willing to sacrifice any number of their own ships to destroy a single enemy vessel. Captain Lin Zhang commanded the destroyer EDS Vengeance when the Coalition's third battle group entered the asteroid belt. Her ship was outnumbered 50-1, but she had advantages the aliens couldn't anticipate. "Engineering, prepare for emergency detonation of the fusion core," she ordered calmly. "Captain, that will destroy the ship," her chief engineer protested. "That's the idea. Tactical, plot a collision course with that Krillian battleship. All hands, prepare for evacuation to the escape pods." The Vengeance accelerated toward its target, its fusion core overloading in a carefully controlled cascade. The alien ship's shields were designed to deflect energy weapons, not to stop a ship-sized fusion bomb traveling at thousands of kilometers per second. The explosion that followed took out 3 Coalition ships and damaged a dozen others. Similar scenes played out across the solar system. Human forces used every desperate tactic imaginable, turning the laws of physics themselves into weapons. They detonated gas-giant atmospheres, weaponized solar flares, and somehow managed to turn Jupiter's radiation field into a massive directed energy weapon. Admiral Supreme Vortak watched his casualty reports with growing alarm. In 3 days of fighting, the Coalition had lost over 400 ships. The humans were being systematically destroyed, but they were taking enormous numbers of Coalition forces with them. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council," reported his communications officer. The holographic image of Speaker Thany Moore appeared, his crystalline form flickering with what Vortak recognized as extreme agitation. "Admiral, what is your status?" "Our deep space monitors are detecting massive energy discharges from the human system. The humans are more resourceful than anticipated," Vortak replied carefully. "Their tactics are unconventional, but we maintained overwhelming superiority. Victory is certain." "At what cost?" Thane Morn asked. "Early reports suggest significant coalition casualties. Acceptable losses for the greater good of galactic stability," Vortak replied, though privately he was beginning to doubt that assessment. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood in the primary command center, watching as Project Prometheus reached its final stages. The massive device had been built into Earth's magnetic field itself, using the planet's natural electromagnetic properties as a weapon of unprecedented scale. "Admiral, all stations report ready," announced Dr. Webb. "Prometheus will generate an electromagnetic pulse that will disable every electronic system within 3 astronomical units. That includes our own ships." "Understood. Are our people clear?" "All Earth defense forces have retreated to minimum safe distance. We're about to cut our own communications." Admiral Chen took a deep breath. Prometheus was humanity's final gambit, a weapon that would level the technological playing field by destroying everyone's electronics simultaneously. In the aftermath, victory would go to whoever could adapt fastest to fighting without computer assistance. "Activate Prometheus," she ordered. The pulse that erupted from Earth was invisible to the naked eye, but devastating to electronic systems. Across the solar system, thousands of ships suddenly went dark as their computers, navigation systems, and weapons controls simply stopped functioning. The mighty coalition fleet found itself floating helplessly in space, their advanced technology reduced to inert metal. But humanity had prepared for this moment. While alien crews struggled to understand what had happened, human ships began implementing backup systems they had spent months preparing. Mechanical guidance systems, chemical rockets, and weapons that required no computer control came online across the scattered Earth defense forces. The final phase of the battle was fought like naval combat from humanity's ancient past. Ships maneuvered using visual navigation and fired weapons guided by human calculations. In this environment, human adaptability and desperate creativity proved superior to alien technological dependence. When the coalition fleet finally limped away from the Sol system, they left behind the wreckage of over 1,800 ships. Humanity had lost almost everything they had built in space, but they had proven something that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. Admiral Chen's final transmission was broadcast throughout known space, carried by the few functioning communication arrays that had survived Prometheus. "To all species of the galaxy, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. Today, you learned what happens when you threaten humanity's survival. We are not conquerors. We are not interested in galactic domination. But we will not submit to alien rule, and we will not abandon our home." She paused, looking out at the debris field that had once been the most powerful military force in galactic history. "This was your only warning. We gave it to you twice, and you chose to ignore it both times. Learn from this lesson, because there will not be a third chance. Humanity stands ready to defend itself against any threat, no matter how large or how advanced. Attack us again, and face annihilation." The aftermath of the War of Human Defiance changed galactic civilization forever. The Galactic Council was dissolved, replaced by a new system that gave every species, no matter how primitive or advanced, an equal voice in interstellar affairs. Humanity became the unofficial guardians of galactic peace, their demonstrated willingness to sacrifice everything for freedom serving as a deterrent to would-be conquerors. And in the depths of space, human ships began their first voyages to other star systems, carrying with them the same message that had echoed from Earth throughout the war. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, but they had proven that they would never bow to alien masters. The galaxy had been warned, and the galaxy had learned to listen.